Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope everybody is safe. Few disclaimers before starting today's presentation. We are going to record this session. I hope no issues to anyone. And one request, if you have any queries, please type your queries in the chat box. After the presentation, we can take all the queries one by one. Today, we have a session on WLAN, most popularly known as Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi 6 is latest in this family. So our expert, Mr. Pramod Kumar, is here, who is having 20 plus years of industry experience and expert on embedded system design engineer. So over to you, Pramod. Our audience is, mostly from colleges, and few of our attendees are from NXP also. So please,
Sure, Manish.
attendees, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Manish. So, hello everyone. My name is Pramod Kumar, and in today's NXP Connect, Campus Connect, I'm going to talk about wireless LAN. So I'm going to talk about the most recent standard of wireless LAN, which is called 802.11ax, which is also branded as an Wi-Fi 6. So we will look into that. What are the various features of this 802.11ax, which is the latest and greatest one, and we will go over some of its use cases. So what are the various use cases this enables? So this is about me. Okay, so this is the agenda of the today's session. Uh, okay, just a moment. Okay, so this is the agenda of the today's session. So first we will go and look into that. What is wireless LAN, Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 6, IEEE 802.11, and IEEE 802.11x. So there is a lot of confusion around that. So we will get some insight over here so that rest of the session is a bit easy for us to understand. So I will go over that one. And then we look into that how wireless LAN has evolved in the last 2 decades. So wireless LAN is not new. We will see that how it evolved in the last 2 decades. And the next item we will pick up is like wireless LAN band and in electromagnetic spectrum. So all the time we are talking about, 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz. So we will try to visualize that what does it mean by like 2.4 gigahertz and where exactly it is coming. So we look into that, the electromagnetic spectrum, and we will try to visualize over there. The next thing which we will talk about that wireless LAN frequency band and channel. So what are the various frequency band? What are the channels? So we will get some clarity over here. And there are various wireless LAN standard but here we will compare the last three important standard like 802.11n, 802.11ac, and then 802.11ax. And then we will talk about the various 802.11ax major features. So there are many features. So we will pick up some of the important feature and we will try to understand that and see that why 802.11ax is so appealing. And NXP has a very good portfolio of wireless LAN solutions. So we will look into that, what all NXP offer. And then we will talk about various use cases. And in the last, I will discuss about that, like what NXP can offer you and what you can see into the NXP. So we will go over that as well. So let's get started. Okay, so what happens to that? Okay, so Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11, this is basically the interchangeable term, which I will go more over that, is the latest generation of wireless networking technology. and that offers, greater capacity, efficiency, and performance. So we will look into that more into the subsequent slide. And as I said, like NXP has a complete portfolio of wireless LAN solutions. So we will also look into that one into our subsequent slide. Okay. So now the very first question which pop up to our mind is, what is wireless LAN, right? So we will try to understand, like what is wireless LAN, and then we will try to understand some of the terms. Like, so wireless LAN stands for wireless local area network. I think probably you might all be familiar with that one, but just for the sake of, like everybody's understanding. So wireless LAN stands for wireless local area network. A wireless LAN or is a network that allow devices to connect and communicate wirelessly. So here you can see that, and devices on the wireless LAN can communicate via Wi-Fi. So in wireless LAN, data is transmitted over the air using one of the IEEE 802.11 protocol. So we will go over more over the protocol into our subsequent slide. And here, as you can see, like wireless LAN include an access point. So you can see there is an access point which is used to connect the internet. So here you can see in the back end, back hall, you can see that there it is connected over wired network or wireless network to the internet, and AP send and receive radio frequency signal to connected device. So there are various devices. You can see here that user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are n number of devices, and access point. So here is the access point which send and receive radio frequency signal, and that's how they they communicate with access point. And these devices which wireless LAN connect are called client. So here user 1, 2, 3, we use the term client to describe them. And again, it uses a star topology in which all nodes send and receive data through access point. So if the user 1 or 2 or 3, they want to send data, they can send the data only through the access point. Even let's say user 1 want to send data to the 3, they can do so only via access point. So that's in brief about what is wireless LAN. Okay. Now the next question, you might come across that, like people are using the term sometimes Wi-Fi, sometimes when you talk to the technical people, they talk about, IEEE 802.11. If you're familiar about Ethernet, then people talk about 802.3. So that's the IEEE standard. So what is IEEE 802.11? So IEEE 802.11 is actually a suite of a standard for implementing wireless local area network, and this is created and maintained by IEEE Standard Committee. And you might come across various terms like IEEE 802.11a, b, g, and etc. So like you might have encountered about 802.11ax. So what is this thing? So IEEE 802.11ax is the latest Wi-Fi standard, which basically the focus of the today's session, and which defines actually the modification to the 802.11 physical layer and media access control sublayer. And actually the technical term of the 802.11ax is high efficiency. So when the people ask you what does it AX stand for, yeah, it's basically it means that high efficiency. Similarly, you might have encountered 802.11ac, which was the previous standard, which was for high throughput, and here it is for the high efficiency. So now you can see that what is 802.11ax. So it's basically nothing, just the standard set forth by the IEEE Standard Committee. Okay. Now then, we just talked about IEEE 802.11. Then what is Wi-Fi? Like most of the people, layman people are, means in general, we are using the term Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, so it is a trademark owned by the Wi-Fi Alliance, an industry trade association that promote wireless LAN technology and certifies product if they conform to certain standard of interoperability. So Wi-Fi means wireless fidelity. Fidelity means compliance. So basically, so it's basically a body like IEEE is a technical body, and this is basically that it's basically, you can say, the consortium of companies. So here, what is Wi-Fi 6? So IEEE 802.11 is marketed as Wi-Fi 6 by the Wi-Fi 6 Wi-Fi Alliance. So here you can see that one-to-one mapping between IEEE 802.11 protocol is standard with the Wi-Fi number. So we use the interchangeably use the term Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax. So this is the new naming standard set by the Wi-Fi Alliance. So like the previous generation is now being known as a Wi-Fi 5, like the previous 802.11 AC based wireless LAN chips, we call them Wi-Fi 5, and 802.11n, we call them Wi-Fi 4. So now you can see that, some clarity you get it like Wi-Fi 6 and what is IEEE 802.11. Okay, so now wireless LAN is not new. It's been like from the last 2 decades, I think. So if you look into that, like it dates back to 1999 with the standard like 802.11a and 802.11b. And then it basically moved to 802.11g and AC, and there are a few more in between. And the most recent one is 802.11ax. Now in the bottom, you can look into that like 802.11n, like the one which I just mentioned. That one is also termed as a Wi-Fi 4. So now you can see that, a mapping of 802.11n with Wi-Fi 4 and 802.11ac, then it's Wi-Fi 5, and 802.11ax, then it's Wi-Fi 6. So you can see that, there is a one-to-one mapping. So you get the clarity over that, these numbers and how they are correlated with the Wi-Fi. Now, if you look into that, like how this wireless LAN standard has evolved, so you can see that it starts with 802.11a and b with few megabytes of with the bandwidth with all the way to the 10 gigabits in 802.11ax. And here you can see that with increased throughput and data rate, we are able to enable various use cases. So you can see that as we move with this standard, we are able to enable various use cases. So here you can see that we have a whole lot of devices supported with 802.11ax, and that's why basically this is touted as one of the good standard which enabled so many use cases. So we will look into those use cases. And so now so when you look into that, it's better. So why 802.11ax? So we go more into detail into subsequent slide, but here we can quickly look into that. It's better in the dense environment, and it's the faster throughput, increased network efficiency, and extended battery life. So we look these things more into our subsequent slide, how it is better into the dense environment and faster throughput and all those things. Okay, so now look into the electromagnetic spectrum. So I'm not trying to intimidate you with the physics. So the idea is that basically, if you look into the electromagnetic spectrum, right? So all the time when somebody is talking about, like 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz or 6 gigahertz or whatever, so from where it is coming, right? So so we all aware about our 12th grade physics about this electromagnetic spectrum. So this electromagnetic spectrum basically says that what are the various devices into this frequency spectrum. So if you look into that, this electromagnetic spectrum, the important thing which I want to highlight it over here is the radio spectrum. So radio spectrum is actually, so if you look into the note over here, so let me read the note for you. So the radio spectrum is the part of electromagnetic spectrum with the frequency from 30 hertz to 300 gigahertz, and electromagnetic waves in this frequency range called radio waves and are widely used in the telecommunication. So that is the part of spectrum, small spectrum, which is being used for all kind of radio communication. And you can see that this is very small spectrum, and this from 30 hertz to 300 gigahertz. and various communication devices, they share that spectrum. And here you can see that our wireless LAN, which I'm going to talk about it falls over there somewhere between 2.4 gigahertz and you can see like 5 gigahertz, and there is another 6 gigahertz band. So this frequency range falls over here. Similarly, you can see that your AM and FM radio, which operate from 88 to 106 megahertz, so they operate over here. So you can visualize when people are talking about like 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz or 6 gigahertz, where basically they are talking about it, right? And now I want to emphasize that why basically radio spectrum is so precious, because it's very small part of the entire spectrum, and that's why we have to use it very wisely for all kind of communication. Okay, now let's look into that. What is the 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz unlicensed band? So there's a term which I used here, unlicensed. So like you might have heard about like the auction of the spectrum for the mobile devices, right? Here in the Wi-Fi, it operates into the primarily into the two band, like 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And this is unlicensed band, means basically the spectrum or the frequency range is unlicensed. You don't need to pay any license fee, though this frequency range can be used only by the Wi-Fi devices. And now you can see there is an additional 6 gigahertz being added into the Wi-Fi 6, which is also sometimes known as Wi-Fi 6E. E means extended. So now most in before 802.11ax, there was only two bands. It's called the dual band. Either the devices can operate in 2.4 gigahertz or they can operate in the 5 gigahertz. Now we have an additional spectrum, additional bandwidth, which is available in the form of 6 gigahertz, which starts from some close to 6 gigahertz, like 5.9 to 7 to all the way to 7.172 gigahertz. So we look into more into in upcoming slide. So here one more thing which I want to highlight here is that you can see that here in the 2.4 gigahertz, we have just the 80 megahertz of bandwidth available. Here in the 5 gigahertz, we have a little bit more bandwidth available. It's like some 500 megahertz. But with the addition of 6 gigahertz band, we have enormous bandwidth. It's like 1,200 megahertz of bandwidth available, that one. So so you can now you can think about that, like with the addition of the 6 gigahertz, our Wi-Fi devices are truly becomes like a digital pipe. So now now look into the 2.4 gigahertz. So now let's look 2.4 gigahertz more closely. So 802.11 standard defines 1420 megahertz wide channel in 2.4 gigahertz. So this 2.4 gigahertz, that one has a 14 channel, and that one falls into the ISM band. So ISM stands for industrial, scientific, and medical band. That is the term which is being used for this frequency band. And out of these 14 megahertz channels, there are only 3 non-overlapping channels. So when I use the word non-overlapping, means basically their frequencies are not overlapping with each other. So if you look into here, like the channel 5 and channel 10, they are non-overlapping. There is no frequency overlap between them. Similarly, channel 4, 9, and 14. So so here, if you look into that, when you talk about 20 megahertz channel, so we have the 3 or at the most 4 non-overlapping channel. But in the United States, they use the channel 1, 6, and 11, which are the non-overlapping channel for Wi-Fi operation in 2.4 gigahertz band. And rest of the world, they are open to use 4 channels of 20 megahertz, which can be channel 1, 5, 9, and 13. So that's pretty much about the 2.4 gigahertz band. Okay, now let's look into the 5 gigahertz. So when you compare with the 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz has a lot more bandwidth available. This one has some 500 megahertz of bandwidth. So if you look into that, so this one has you can have like some 25 non-overlapping 20 megahertz channel, or similarly you can club 20 megahertz channel, and you can make the 40 megahertz channel, or 80 megahertz channel, or 160 megahertz channel. So you can see that there is a lot more bandwidth available with the 5 gigahertz band. Okay. Now let's look into this new edition of 6 gigahertz. So 6 gigahertz is basically has a lot more bandwidth. So this one has 1,200 megahertz of spectrum, and that one has some 59 channel available. So you can see when you look into that 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, you have a lot more bandwidth here in the 6 gigahertz. And with the addition of this 6 gigahertz, sometimes that Wi-Fi 6 is also known is also termed as a Wi-Fi 6E, where E stands for extended, and that extension is just due to this 6 gigahertz. So that's pretty much about like our frequency band, like 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 6 gigahertz. And now we looked into that from looking into our spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum. We can see that from where they are coming, right, in the electromagnetic spectrum. So that's about the frequency band and channel. Now let's look into the various 802.11 standard. So as I mentioned earlier, that like wireless LAN is like almost like a 2-decade old, and there are various standard, right from 802.11a and b to all the way to 802.11ax. I will focus 3 important, or you can say the dominant standard. There are a lot of devices available around these standard, and nowadays most of like 802.11n, which is known as Wi-Fi 4. Similarly, 802.11ac, which is known as Wi-Fi 5, and 802.11ax, which is the focus of the today's session, is the Wi-Fi 6. And we can see that if you look into that, Wi-Fi 4 that was released in 2009, and 802.11ac was in 2013, and 802.11ax in 2019. So you can see that 802.11ax is very recent one, right? When we look into the band, so in 802.11an, it was the dual band. So when we see a dual band, means it was operating in 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And in 802.11ac, 2.4 gigahertz was being dropped. Basically, the idea was that let's push everybody to the 5 gigahertz, which provide more bandwidth and more cleaner communication. And later in 802.11ax, they restored 2.4 gigahertz apart from 5 gigahertz, and there is another band available, which is the 6 gigahertz band, and which make this Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11 tri-band. So before that it was either dual band or single band. Now it is basically the tri-band. So we can see over here. When we look into the channel bandwidth, so channel bandwidth means like, so here in the 802.11n, primarily it was the 20 megahertz, and optionally there was an option for 40 megahertz channel bandwidth as well. And in 802.11ac, apart from 20 megahertz, 40 megahertz, 80 megahertz, and 160 megahertz, so hertz channel bandwidth was introduced, and 802.11x, they were all retained in the 802.11ax as well. So with increased channel bandwidth, we can see like that lead to the increased throughput. So we look into more into the subsequent slide. FFT stands for fast Fourier transformation. So you can think about it like how many carriers you can transmit in one frame. So that's how you can visualize that one. So like here in 802.11n, you can see that it was 64 and 128 FFT size, and that was increased to all the way to the 512 in 802.11ac. So you can see that much bigger frame we can send it. And 802.11ax, that one is increased to all the way to 2048. So now we look into that, like when people are saying about like 10 gigabits of 802.11ax. So now you can see from where all these numbers numbers are increasing because of this increased FFT size and increased channel bandwidth. So like here it was 20 megahertz channel bandwidth, now we have 160 megahertz channel bandwidth. We have increased FFT size. Subcarrier spacing, so subcarrier spacing means we need so here you can see that subcarrier spacing has reduced drastically from 312.5 kilohertz to the 78.125 kilohertz. So what is subcarrier? So like we know that in a module we send the signal we modulate the signal using the carrier frequency, right? And so here you can see that we have a fourfold decrease in the subcarrier spacing. So what happens that we can send 4 times more data, right? Because the amount of carrier which we need to transmit a frame is less in comparison to previous standard. So now you can see that there's another factor which help increasing the bandwidth, the throughput, the data rate in 802.11ax because of the subcarrier spacing decrease. Now the other important thing is the QAM, so highest modulation. So we know that like we send the data by modulating, right? So we use the QAM. So QAM stands for quadrature amplitude modulation. So I will talk about it more. We look into that. So here you can see that in 802.11n we were using 64 QAM. So 64 means 2 to the power 6. So like one subcarrier we can send 6 bit of data. When we talk about 256 means 2 to the power 8, so we can use 8 bit of data. And 1024 means 2 to the power 10. So if we compare from the 802.11 AC to the 802.11 AX, so we can say that like we have a jump from 8 bit to 10 bit. So now with the 10 bit means like almost like a 25% increase by just changing the QAM, just changing the QAM modulation, just changing the 1024 QAM. So that's another thing which adds up to our higher throughput, higher data rate. Right. So when we talk about this data rate, so the data rate is basically, like all these things which we have achieved. So now we have a 1024 QAM. So we have a 25% more data in comparison to previous standard, which was using 256 QAM. And then we have a subcarrier spacing, so which has reduced by 25%. So like 1/4. So we have a more, carrier available for transmitting data. We have a higher FFT size and much bigger the channel bandwidth. So like we have 160 megahertz, we can even go to 160 megahertz. So when we basically multiply and all those things, and so then that leads to the higher data rate. The other thing which I want to highlight it over here is the is basically the spatial stream. So you can see that like in 802.11n, we have max of 8 spatial streams. So spatial stream means you can think about it like the number of antennas. So like if you have an access point having 4 antenna over the access point having 8 antenna. So you can see that again, basically jump of, from 4 to 8, that leads to, so all these things lead to this 9607 megabits per second of data, which is roughly like a 10 gigabits per second. So now you can see that why 802.11ax is so important, because, and what are all the things which we have achieved, which makes this standard and this technology so important. Another thing is the MIMO. So we have SU or MU. So SU stands for single user and MU stands for multi-user. And MIMO means multiple input, multiple output, and OFDM/DMA. So that's another MIMO technology, MIMO techniques. Here we call that orthogonal frequency division multiple and orthogonal frequency division multiple axis. So in 802.11n, that was primarily supporting the single user MIMO and OFDM. And then in 802.11 AC, we were able to support, in the downlink direction, this MIMO apart from and OFDM. And in 802.11ax, there is a real gain of that one. We have basically multi-user MIMO in both uplink and downlink, and apart from that we have OFDMA, which is called the orthogonal frequency division multiple axis. So I will talk about that more in detail. in subsequent slide. So these are basically, so in a nutshell, here I have summarized like what are the last three standard and how basically we evolved from the 802.11n to 802.11ax, and what are all the things which we achieved from in terms of the data rate, in terms of modulation techniques, in terms of multi-user MIMO, OFDMA. So these are all the various gains which we have achieved into 802.11ax. Now 802.11ax major feature. Now so in this slide I'm going to show you like what is 802.11ax major feature. So Wi-Fi 6 delivered technical advancement over previous generation of Wi-Fi with number of key features that enable significant increase in network capacity, power efficiency, and performance. So if you look into that, what all we have gained it here in one single slide. So you can see that here in the Wi-Fi 6, we have a downlink multi-user MIMO. We have a more, we have a very big 160 megahertz channel bandwidth. We can go all the way to the 160 megahertz channel bandwidth, apart from 20, 40, 80 megahertz. This provide one very important feature, which is called the BSS coloring. There is 8 spatial stream support. So you can think about 8 antennas transmitting simultaneously. One of the very key feature is called the OFDMA, and beam farming is another important feature. Target wake up time. So now we can see that there are a lot of IoT devices are connecting to our network, and we know that these IoT devices, they most of them they are working on like battery operated. So power saving has become one of the very important feature, and so target wake up time is one such feature in the Wi-Fi 6, which so I will talk about this one in more detail. And apart from that, 1024 QAM, which I just discussed, right? So these are some of the important features of the 802.11ax or Wi-Fi 6. So now these features lead to like capacity increase, like greater capacity to support higher number of devices. So like with increased capacity, we can support more and more devices. Like we have 8 spatial streams, so we can in a downlink we can support 8 devices simultaneously. Similarly, like an OFDMA, so we can support we can support multiple devices at the same time, like efficiency, like lower power consumption for IoT devices. So like we can bring a lot of efficiency, like target wake up time. So now devices can save power, like IoT devices can save power. At the same time, we can save lot of network bandwidth, which are otherwise wasting due to like the lot of beacon frame going back and forth between the devices and access point. So now devices now these IoT devices, they can schedule with their time with access point, and they can wake up at that time, and at that time they can send or receive data, and that's how they can save power and a lot of network bandwidth we can save. Okay. And data rate, so higher data rate with gigabits speed. So as I mentioned, like a lot of things like 1024 QAM, 8 spatial stream, big channel bandwidth. So all these things add up to the higher data rate. Excuse me. Okay, so let's discuss some of the important features of the 802.11ax. So one of the important feature is the QAM. So QAM, as I said, like stands for quadrature amplitude modulation. So I think we are aware about that, like frequency modulation, phase modulation, and amplitude modulation. So we have basically the 3 characteristics of any waveform, like it's the frequency, amplitude, and phase. So here in the QAM, what we are doing, we basically use the amplitude and phase, and we use this one to to this one we say that QAM. So it's a quadrature amplitude modulation. So here a combination of amplitude and frequency, we modulate our signal, and that's how we can encode larger we can encode more and more data into one subcarrier. So like in amplitude modulation, if you go for that, you can encode just one bit. Like here with 1024 QAM, you can encode 10 bits, that's where basically the QAM technique which help us getting more bandwidth. So you can see that here like 256 QAM over the 1024 QAM. So like in this constellation diagram, you can see that with the 1024 QAM we can encode more data in comparison to the 256 QAM. So that's one of the important feature which I want to highlight it over here. Okay, now let's look into the another important feature, which is called the multi-user MIMO. So so MIMO stands for multi-user MIMO. So so network with MU-MIMO are capable of multitasking by sending data to multiple devices at once rather than one at a time. And that improves overall network efficiency and throughput. So what does it mean? So like let's say you have 10 devices in your home, right? And you have one access point. So access point can either serve one device at a time, but that leads to latency. So your other device will wait till the first one is served, right? So here with the MIMO, you can serve multiple devices at a same time. And so there are basically the two mechanism available in 802.11ax. So like let's say you have an 8 antenna or 8 spatial stream, right? So you can use the MU-MIMO where you can send all these 8 antennas. They can serve at the most 8 devices at the same time, right? So as you can see here in the like there are three, like here there are 3 trucks, and they are serving to the three destinations, right? So that's basically the one kind of MIMO where like all these 8 antenna or 4 antennas or 2 antenna, they are serving that many client at the same time. So what's the advantage of that one? Like latency, right? So now you have reduced the latency considerably, right? And you increase the throughput, you increase the performance. So that's basically one of the advantage of the MU-MIMO. There's another, like a like OFDMA and MU-MIMO are complementary. So what does it mean? So OFDMA is it stands for orthogonal frequency division multiple access. So what happens that let's say you have a lot of devices. Let's say you have many IoT devices, right? And their bandwidth requirement is not that huge. They need few bytes of data, right? So you would not like to spend your entire, let's say, 20 megahertz channel bandwidth or 40 megahertz bandwidth to one single device, because that's waste of resource. So what you do that you club basically the uh, data for all these things, and then you can send data to multiple devices in one frame, and that's where is the OFDMA. So you can see that here it's visualized that there is a one single truck carrying the data for the 3 devices. So 3 devices can be served in once, and in MU-MIMO three devices are served by the 3 different antennas, 3 different spatial streams. So that's the difference between OFDMA and MU-MIMO. But when we look from the multi-user perspective, primarily they are same. So here there is another visualization of the OFDMA. So and MU-MIMO. So you can see that there are 4 antennas. So access point has a 4 antenna. Excuse me. So we have an access point, and you can see that in a downlink. So downlink means when the access point is sending data to the user. So we have the user, let's say user 0, user 1, and user 2. So, and we have 4 antennas, right? So we are transmitting data simultaneously for all these 3 devices at the same time. So all these 3, so that basically help reducing the latency, and all these 3 devices can be served simultaneously. Similarly, in an uplink, these three devices, they can send data to the access point. So that's about the MIMO. So you can see that how this MIMO lead to latency reduction and increasing the overall performance of the system. Here in the OFDMA, what happens that users are multiplexed in both frequency and spatial domain. So frequency. So basically, what happens that, as I mentioned, like let's say you have a 20 megahertz band, right? So you basically chop that 20 megahertz band, and you can give a small sub channel out of that to different users. So let's say you give user one some amount of bandwidth, user two, user three, user four. This is called the resource unit. That's how basically you share that 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz band among the various users, and you transmit that data. And that's how you can send the data simultaneously to the multiple users. And that's another form of multi MIMO. Yeah, we can visualize a little bit more over here, like OFDM and OFDMA. So like in previous technology, like 802.11 AC, we were using, or 802.11n, we were using the OFDM, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. So here you can see that color, right? So here, let's say this one is the frequency, so 20 megahertz channel. So this blue color means the entire 20 megahertz channel can be used by one user at a time. So let's say user so here we can see that first user is getting the entire bandwidth, and then second user, then third user. So entire bandwidth is being used by one single user, and that is the problem over here. Because there are a lot of devices, they don't need that much bandwidth. And so here with the OFDMA, we help solve that issue. So you can see that the client 1, 2, and 3. So if you look into that, the same 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz is being shared among two users. So here the user 1 and 2, are sharing. Then user 1 and 2, and at one point of time, user 1, 2, and 3, they are all sharing the same channel. So that's basically lead to that help addressing the latency issue. So that's where the OFDMA, that is also touted as a secret sauce in 802.11ax, and that is one of the very important feature of the 802.11ax. So hope with this diagram, I'm able to clear that thing a little bit better. Okay. Now, let's talk about one other important feature, which is called the target wake up time. So as we know, like IIoT or industrial IoT, so there are a lot of, devices, they are, connected with the access point. So the problem with these devices is that they are operating, most of the devices, they are operating on the battery, as I mentioned, right? And these devices, they continuously scan, send beacon frame back and forth between access point and the devices. So there are two problems. First, this basically they are wasting a lot of network bandwidth, and secondly, they are basically running out of their battery. So 802.11ax AX address that issue using this target wake up time. So access point and the client device, they negotiate, at what point of time they will wake up, and they will access the media to transmit or receive data from the access point. And that's how basically we are able to save a lot of network bandwidth and able to save the battery. So that's a very important feature into the addition of this feature in 802.11 AX. Okay, now let's talk about what are the various solutions which NXP provide. So NXP has a huge portfolio of wireless LAN solution. You can visit nxp.com and you can take a look of what are the various wireless LAN solution NXP provide. So NXP caters various segments like IoT, automotive, and access point, and many more. and basically these solutions are around Wi-Fi 4, 5, and Wi-Fi 6 with both dual band and tri-band. So this is the whole lot of devices which are supported by the NXP. Here, let's take a little bit closer look of the one of the NXP chip. So this is this is known as ATA-W9064. This is the 4x4, and you can see that that one support both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz band. And this one provide one single integrated chip which has the radio and baseband processing into one single chip. So that's the NXP solution. So NXP has both hardware and software solution around this chip. Okay. Now let's talk about the various wireless LAN use cases. So now we have gone through these features, and after going those features, we can see that what are the capabilities 802.11ax has enabled and added into this wireless LAN technology. So with all these things, we are able to we are able to enable various use cases. You can find 802.11ax or wireless LAN solutions around the transportation hubs. Yeah, you can find many in the enterprises, public venues, urban areas, home, university, high-rise apartment. So these are some of the 802.11ax use cases you can encounter. So we will discuss one by one some of them, like an access point. So we all using the access point in our home, right? So NXP has a whole lot of is a big portfolio of wireless LAN solution, and the one which I mentioned, like ATA-W9064, which is a dual band, and W9154, which is a tri band. So so state of the art MIMO solution for enterprise and retail access point. So we can enable with these chips, we can enable both enterprise, which is the data hungry one, with the retail access and the retail access point. So these kind of use cases we can enable. Access point is the one such. So wireless service providers are offloading data. So the data offloading is one of the important use case of the wireless LAN. So we are encountering, like in a 3G or a LTE, how so fast they are, but there is a lot of traffic still. Wireless service providers are offloading to the wireless network. So wireless service providers are offloading data traffic to the wireless hotspot from their existing 3G and LTE network to help meet the customer surging demand for more data bandwidth and improve customer experience. So irrespective of how much like 3G and LTE is providing throughput, but that is not serving the data hunger of the devices, and that is where the wireless LAN and 802.11ax can step in and offload lot of data from the 3G and LTE network. And that leads to a lot of benefits, like cost effectiveness, and it's widely available and widely used, and a lot of value added services you can provide to the customer. So that's another important and very important use case which 802.11ax based wireless LAN can provide. Okay, tri-band access point. So now let's think about that. Like you are visiting a very huge like auditorium where 100,000 people are sitting, and they are like accessing their mobile devices and playing video and watching movie and things like that. So these kind of so with 802.11ax has a tri-band devices, we can enable tri-band. So as I mentioned, like 802.11ax, we have an addition of 6 gigahertz band, and not only the 6 gigahertz band addition, we have an enormous bandwidth available, like 1200 megahertz addition. So now using all these three band together, we can design an access point which can serve like large number of audience at the same time. So that's another important use case with the 802.11ax. Okay, so Asset tracking is like industrial is another important use case, like asset tracking and safety and automation. So you can see there are a lot of Wi-Fi and wireless LAN solutions into the automation domain. So that's another area. Okay. Uh, like here, okay, so power cutting edge in-car connectivity for advanced infotainment and telematics. So so that's another important like use case in like in our car. So we have the connected car, so that is where the another use case we can see. So in the smart car now with 802.11 AX, so gaming is another like the important use case. So you can play game with your friend who's sitting in the other part of the world. So that's another important use case. So like our 88W9098, which is dual band, that can enable that kind of like use case, which deliver high performance and connectivity even for the most demanding of gaming platform and voice assistant. So okay. Imaging is the another important. So like we have wireless cameras, wireless printer. So you can see the Wi-Fi 6 use case over there as well. So I think with this, I am done with my presentation. So now the last thing is that like going over that, probably you might have the question like that. Okay, so Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi is providing so many, like enabling so many use cases. It is so great. Like, but what for us, right? So what all basically it offer for us as a student, or like um, as a candidate for next job, right? So so like when you look into the NXP, we have like provide end-to-end solutions. So NXP basically designed the wireless LAN chips. So we have basically the cutting edge 802.11 AX, both tri-band and dual band chips. And so that's where you can look opportunity as a system, as a system architecture and design, like in RTL designing and chip designing. So that's one area where you can explore opportunities with the NXP. Verification and validation engineer, so you can join as a verification and validation engineer, where you can help verifying these chips, right? And you can join as a DFT. So DFT stands for design for testability. So you can help test these chips. So that is where you can look into that if you are looking from the hardware perspective, and if you are looking opportunity into the NXP. If you are looking from the software side, so as I said, like NXP has the whole, basically we are providing end-to-end solutions. So we have in the software side, we provide solutions. So we provide all the necessary drivers, utilities, and like all this software stack, networking stack at the top of that. And that's where you can, explore opportunities. Most of the things which we code is in the C or are the real-time Linux, some are in the FreeRTOS. So these kind of, like operating system and languages, and most of, so these are the things which is required, for joining as a our software team. So that's where you can explore opportunity in the NXP. Security, so now security is also like very huge. So NXP is very sincere about that. So you can like wireless security, that's where you can also explore opportunity with the NXP. Performance optimization, so I just want to point, so that's one important area, like optimizing the performance on the various platform, even the various Linux platform, or from different version of the Linux, or different other operating system. So that's where basically like you can explore opportunity, how we can optimize, how we can enhance the performance in the software. So that's where another opportunity NXP offer. And application in field engineering, so there is a lot of opportunity in the application in field engineering. So like field testing is the one such area where you can explore opportunity as a quality engineers to you help testing all these wireless LAN drivers and all those things. Like, so that's where another you can look opportunity over here. And enabling customers, so like we provide solutions, so like help integrating our solution to the customer product, in customer product. So that's where we have a lot of opportunity. And customer support, like after providing all those things, like providing support after delivering our product. So these are some of the the areas where you can explore opportunity with the NXP. So having said that, like I think I'm done. uh, we can take query and question. So Manish, yeah, over to you.
Yeah, Pramod, thanks a lot. Very good, insight on Wi-Fi fundamentals, applications, use cases. And, I think very good insight on the technical stuff. So very useful for our students. We have one query, and in the meantime, if you have any other queries, you can type in chat box or raise your hand so that our IT team can unmute you and then you can ask the queries. So right now we have one query, Pramod, that is, does 88W9064 BLE 5.0 mode support audio streaming to Bluetooth speakers? If yes, how the coexistence of Wi-Fi plus Bluetooth at 2.4 gigahertz interference managed, and how it may max impact speed throughput of Wi-Fi concurrency issues. If no, BLEs does low bitrate minimizes effect on Wi-Fi bandwidth, right?
Right.
So
So Manish, I think, yeah. So I think so there is a lot of so there are some of our chip basically support both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And uh, yeah, I can please send this question. Means like I need to talk to some other people, those who are working into the BLE side and other side, and I can revert back with that one.
any other queries, Rahul?
No, Manish.
Okay. Okay, one more query. How do you verify pre-silicon emulation or FPGA?
So basically, like any other, so NXP has like SOC design, RTL design, and RTL verification procedure, right? So our wireless LAN chips also go through the same procedure. We on the FPGA, and there are various other emulation and simulation platform available. That's how basically like NXP validate those chips during the initial stage of its design.
Thanks, Pramod. Any last query? Any hand raised, Rahul?
Not yet, Manish.
Okay, then we'll conclude today's session. So thanks
Yeah,
a
Manish.
lot.
So I will revert back to that question, because I need to talk to some other teams to get full insight of that question answer. And yeah.
I think Rajesh Kurian is from NXP, if I'm not wrong. So this query is from him. So maybe you can
Okay.
respond.
Okay. I will talk to Rajesh. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Pramod, for all your efforts. And as I updated that very good informative informations related to Wi-Fi, very helpful for students. And we'll meet again with a new innovative session. One more query. Any health hazard with Wi-Fi 6 compared to old Wi-Fi 5 or 4?
So basically, that is always like with a lot of radiation, there is always this kind of questions are always being raised. But yeah, means like various experiment which is carried out by many companies, they were found that like it is safe, and that's why, you know, like the government and regulatory bodies has allowed to operate these devices. So I think we should not worry about that. Yeah. So
Okay,
I'm not
thank
seeing. Yeah.
We don't have any other queries. So guys, take care. Thanks for your time. We'll meet again in the next session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Pramod.